Thom Hartmann here with you, and on the line with us is Congressmember Pramila Jayapal of Washington State, and a member of the U.S. Congress. She is the co-chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. She represents the 7th District of Washington, or excuse me, she's the first vice chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. Congressmember Jayapal, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Tom. And actually, I am the co-chair.
That's what I thought.
The co-chair.
Yeah, it's you and Mark Pocan. Okay. So I read this extraordinary piece that you wrote in the New York nybooks.com, the New York Review of Books, I believe it is. Yeah, and you talked about how your parents used all their savings to send you across the oceans from India at the age of 16. You got your U.S. citizenship in the year 2000. You started the largest immigrant advocacy organization in Washington State. You're the first South Asian American woman in the House of Representatives, and one of only 12 members of the 115th Congress who are proud naturalized citizens. This is great, and the rest of the piece is a real brilliant deep dive into immigration and the benefits of immigration and how we need to reboot our system. Where should we start with all this?
Well, I think, the reason I wrote the piece is because I feel like the conversation has been taken so far backwards and so far to the right by Donald Trump and people who are really determined to take our attention away from making sure this country works for everybody, and also recognizing our history on immigration and sort of the benefits of immigrants to our country and to our identity and to our future. And so the piece is called A New Moral Imagination on Immigration, and it really tries to lay out a little bit of history, because a lot of people don't know the history, and a lot of the lies that are being told by the Trump administration really skate right over the facts of our history and how our laws have come into being, and then the incredible lack of updating of our laws to really reflect the needs of our economy and sort of our moral values. And so it takes a big picture look at what is that moral framework? How do we recognize that the United States has always had actually a dueling response to immigration? One side that frankly has been very bigoted, very racist in terms of how our immigration laws came into being, and the other that has been extremely generous and very much based the identity of the country on one that has been forward-thinking, on welcoming people to our country to build it and to help make it better. And so those two have been in conflict just about every generation, and we've had to fight it out every single time. And now we need to understand that this scapegoating and targeting of immigrants is part of a plan of the right, extreme right, because actually this has always been a bipartisan issue until Donald Trump came along. That doesn't mean that we haven't had problems with immigration under Democratic presidents, and you might have seen, as a proud Democrat, I did still call out Democrats for not having taken up this issue and for, in some ways having given in to some of the false paradigms that are being put out there. Mm-hmm. But I think, really trying to make a case for what comprehensive, humane immigration reform looks like, trying to fight back against the lies that are out there, but at the core, understanding how important immigration is to our moral values, to our identity, and really to the future of this country.
Yeah.
So I think it's a complex issue. There's a lot in there in that piece. It was supposed to be a 1,600-word piece, and it's a 3,000-word piece. Yeah. Because I think there are a lot of pieces to this. But, we got to be strong as Democrats, and hopefully there's some willing Republicans still left to come on board. I think the good thing that I point out in the piece is that as much as Trump tried to use the last elections and frankly his entire 2 years and his campaign to really target and scapegoat immigrants, I think the American people are not there. And there are actually a lot of signs and now new research coming out about voter data that shows that he may have turned off millennials for decades to come, that in many states, while it might have worked in one or two places, the majority of Americans rejected it, and that actually, according to the polling, the approval for immigration and continuing to have a generous immigration policy is at an all-time high.
Right.
And, it's at an all-time low in terms of restricting immigration.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can use that backlash and really create a different way of thinking about this issue. And hopefully we can push Democrats to be bold, to embrace immigration, not to be scared of it, not to shy away from it, and to call slander, slander, and lies, lies.
Yeah. We have about, I think, about a minute and a half here before we're going to hit a hard break. ICE is threatening the state of New Jersey. They used the same phrase that they did against California. Against California last year, they said ICE will have no choice but to conduct at-large arrests in local neighborhoods and at work sites. And will inevitably result in additional collateral arrests. They issued the exact same language against New Jersey yesterday. You were down on the Mexican border earlier this week. I think it was on December 1st. That's not ICE. I realize that's border protection. But what do we do with all this? I mean, it's turned into an insane free-for-all, it seems, particularly with all these people on the right and ICE. We have a minute.
Yeah, it's a manufactured crisis. It is a crisis, but it was manufactured by Trump. And so we have thousands of people on the border. And the worst part about this is that many of them, particularly those from Honduras, about 50% of the caravan has been people from Honduras, are fleeing horrendous conditions in their country that the United States has actually been a part of allowing to continue to happen through our own foreign policy. But these folks are not just seeking the American dream. They're really fleeing reigns of terror. And we have limited the Trump administration has limited the ability for people to legitimately seek asylum. That is legal, as much as they'd like to say it isn't. And so we have a way to solve this. It is not, we've had actually larger numbers coming to the border and seeking asylum at other times. We just have to be willing to do it. Yeah,
it's sort of at a low right now, I believe. It has been for a couple of years. Congressmember Pramila Jayapal, she represents the 7th District of Washington. Jayapal.house.gov, the website, and you can tweet her at Rep. Jayapal, Jayapal. Congressmember, thank you so much for being with us.